In this video, we will see what if Deku has sacred gear and chakra instead of Quirk. This is part 1. And if you like this concept, then please let me do in comment section. Let's jump right into video. Happy birthday, Deku. Akino. Kushina and Shuri said while taking a picture of a kid Deku and Akino who were smiling and sitting next to each other at a table. The two were born on the exact same day, and luckily their parents know each other since they are good friends. Minato and Barikil just smile at their happy children. Minato and Kushina are both exorcists, but oddly enough they are one of the friendliest exorcists and are friends with quite a few devils, fallen angels and angels that not even the Vatican know about that, along with both being taught by Vasco Strata. Blow out the candle and make a wish, you two. Shuri said to the kids, who immediately blew out the candle with a smile still on their face. What was your wish? Akino asked her most closest friend Deku, who just shakes his head. It's a secret. If I tell you, it won't come true. Remember? Deku told the girl, who just puffs her cheeks and glares at Deku. I won't tell anyone, so please. Akino asked him, but Deku just crossed his arms and looks away while shaking his head. No, but you can tell me yours. Deku said, but Akino did the exact same thing Deku did to him. No, Akino said, gaining laughter from their parents' video tapping this scene. Unknown to all them, this moment will never happen again, along with casting the wheels of fate to turn once again. 1 month later. Daddy, why is mommy still outside? Deku questioned a worried Minato, who held Deku while running to the closet fast. After reaching it, he places Deku in the closet just as the house shook. Whatever you do, don't open this or make any sounds, Minato told his son, and closes it. After doing so, he pressed his right hand at the top of the door and with a chant he removed his arms, leaving a deal. Only a few. Deku starts hearing yelling and fighting. I know the sacred gear Chaos Karma is here. Give it to me and I'll spare your lives. Someone yells, located in the living room. Deku couldn't help but disobey his father and opens the closet door a little to peek out, but mentally and physically froze. Deku's bloodied mother and beaten father are being held in the air by their necks by a fallen angel. But not just any fallen angel, it's Kokobile. You will never find it. It has been in my family for generations and you will never have it, and I suggest you run since both Vasco Strata and Ewald Cristaldi are about to arrive. Kushina said to the fallen angel, who glares at just before he drops her. With a light spear forms in his right hand, which he instantly stabs Kushina through her heart, killing the woman much to the horror of Deku. Kushina! Damn you, Kokobile! Minato yelled in anger at the fallen angel. Deku had both of his hands covering his mouth and his eyes were completely wide with tears falling from his eyes. I suppose you won't tell me either, so die, Kokobile said, and he raises his spear. Minato's gaze shifts to the door and his eyes widen a little, seeing the closet open a little with Deku seeing everything. Minato smiles at Deku, but then he was stabbed in the heart, ending his life much to the despair of the child witnessing it. Pathetic humans, these are the weakest exorcists I ever faced, Kokobile said, and was about to search for Deku when he felt it. Holy swords. Feeling that he immediately leaves due to the fact of they see him, he will die. Just after seeing the fallen angel leave, the child runs out his door and goes to his mother and father, who have their eyes closed. Mommy, Daddy. Ah! Deku said B, for he screams while holding his head, and as he began screaming, Barikil had arrived to the scene. What happened? Barikil yelled as he was entering the house, and his eyes widened seeing Kushina and Minato dead. Oh no, was all Barikil could say, and saw a crying Deku. Behind Barikil are Shuri and Akino had also arrived, and the moment Deku saw Akino, he ran straight to her and hugs her crying. Akino saw the dead bodies and tears to began falling from her eyes. Oh my god, Shuri said with tear appearing in her eyes at seeing her best friend dead. Damn it, I was too late, Barikil said as he punched the ground with tears falling from his eyes just as the door explodes open, gaining their attention to find 3 exorcists, Vasco and Ewald, entering in a hurry, and they froze in horror. 1 week later. Deku is currently walking to Akino's house from the graveyard. Yesterday was the funeral where his parents were buried, and he didn't even cry, as if that incident took away his childhood and replaced his eyes with that of an adult's. When Deku heard crying from inside the house, he enters quickly to find Akino by a dead Shuri. Akino, Deku said worriedly, going to her side. What happened? Deku asked the crying girl, who looks at Deku. Mommy died and Dad wasn't here to protect her, Akino said crying, and Deku just holds her. understanding her pain, but his eyes widen all the way at seeing a black feather on the ground, and his face changes to that of rage with a new purpose in his life.
Fallen angels.
I'll kill them all, every single one of them, until none of them are left. Deku thought, falling into an abyss of hatred. Flashback end. Deku stood outside the building, staring at it with a look of loss while the guys glare at Deku while all the girls are blushing and have hearts in their eyes at seeing the new student. They could only whisper among themselves, but he soon came back to reality after noticing it. When he turns fast, he found her, a surprised Akino standing behind him. Deku/Akino. They both yell and run to the other in order to hug each other, not seeing the other for 2 years since Akino joined Rias and Deku leaving the church to do his own job. Seeing this, both the girls and boys glare at the two while their idiot perverts were also annoyed. Oh great, the new guy got the total babe, Issei thought, looking at the two with disappointment. Issei then blinks in surprise after seeing Deku staring right at him. Socks, he could see it. Red aura coming from his right arm. He's the one who posses the sacred gear booster gear, came the words of Tiamat that went through Deku's mind, filled with anger. Like Issei, Deku also posses a sacred gear that has resemblance to Issei's. Its color is dark blue. When the sacred gear is in its first form, it looks like Issei's gauntlet, but the jewel is yellow along with the fingers are glowing yellow since he gave up his arm to achieve power, but somehow has the ability to turn his hand back to normal but takes some time. He can stay in scale mail until he runs out of power but has about the same time limit as Valid does, including possessing 2 abilities, which one is called Chaos, which allows his friends to give him power if they wish and he can add it to his own. You really hate the users of the Red Dragon Emperor, Drake. Deku thought to Tiamat while he walks with a Kenk toward the building. Every user of Drake was a guy and a pervert that hit on my user all the time. Of course I hate him, Tiamat yells in Deku's mind, causing him to hold his head, but makes it look like he's brushing his hair back. He's a devil, must be a pawn of Rias. Deku thought to Tiamat whirl glancing back at Issei. Yes, I can feel it. And he's a pervert, I just know it. Tiamat said, not caring about Deku's thoughts. Let's see if he is a pervert, he may be a good man. Deku thinks to the dragon, it takes it back after seeing some time later Issei, 2 of his friends, running away from a group of angry girls who were yelling perverts. Told you he was a pervert. Every user of that stupid dragon is a pervert. Fafnir is a pervert as well, calling a girl's panties treasure. Tiamat said to Deku angrily. Come on Deku. Akino said to him, leading Deku somewhere so they can talk alone. Sometime later, so a stray devil is here. Deku thought while entering the dark building without a care. My, a man. Kane, a female voice, which Deku looks to see she's naked. Her bottom half is that of a monster, which Deku takes out an exorcist gun that has light bullets in it. Chaos Karma. Deku commanded as a gauntlet appears on Deku's right hand. It's time for me to kill you. Deku told the stray devil, who becomes angry at hearing that and charges for Deku, who began firing some bullets that hit her. That burns you, asshole. She yells in pain at the former member of the church. Deku just jumps in the air and punches her square in the face and hard. Ah! She yells while Deku puts away his gun and takes out a light sword. He started to dodge both of her attacks and cuts off both of her arms off in an instant. Rosha! She screams in pain at Deku, who bright his right arm back while it has a dark yellow ball forming in Deku's gauntlet hand. Dragon shot! Deku yelled as he fires a yellow beam that consumes it and kills her instantly. Well, that was easy. Deku thought to himself, now bored. By the time the devils arrived, the battle was over with Deku seen leaning against the wall. Yo! Deku said, holding his gun and still having the gauntlet activated. Deku, why are you here? Rias questioned the teenager, who just smiles. Oh, nothing, just taking another stroll at night. Killing a stray devil, the usual. Deku told the Crimson Princess, who grew a tick mark while Akino chuckles. Wait, you know him? Issei asked the girl, wanting to know how exactly they know each other. Yeah, he and Akino are childhood friends and we met a few times. He's very annoying. Rias muttered to her pawn. How am I annoying? You have a pervert as a pawn. Deku said, pointing to Issei, who gets angry. Before you say something, I just want to say that I don't care. I'll kick your ass if you so much as try to see Akino naked, and I don't like perverts. Deku said, glaring at Issei, who began to sweat. And just to warn you, my sacred gear hates perverts. Deku said, and Akino walks to Deku with her arms wrapping around him. Akino just sends Rias a look saying jealous that I have a hot friend all to myself. Rias blushes in anger and looks away while folding her arms. This is getting awkward. Yudo thinks while putting up a smile. Come on Akino, we should go. Deku said, and Akino just nods and they begin walking away. Who is he? Issei said, and Rias sighs. His name is Deku Midoriya. His parents were exorcists. Rias said, and Issei notices what she said and looks at her questioningly. Were? Issei said, and Rias looks at the back of Deku. His parents were murdered right in front of him by a fallen angel. His dream is to kill every single one of them, so don't piss him off or he will kill you. Rias warned her pawn. Will he try to kill Akino once he finds out that she's a fallen angel turned devil? Rias thinks sadly, not wanting to think the damage or will cause to Deku's mind. Deku was standing within the walls of the Occult Research Club, sleeping on the couch due to not having a place yet to crash. The young man was tossing and turning due to having another nightmare about the past. Don't hurt them, Deku said loudly while he started to sweat at seeing Kokobile hurting his friends. He sees them battling out and against the fallen angel, but finally wakes up after Kokobile kills Akino. Deku sat up fast, sweating a lot along with his eyes being wide open at the hellish dream he just went through. Another nightmare. Pathetic of me to be still scared of that fallen angel. I'll kill him the moment I see him, Deku thought to himself as he gets up from the couch. Deku, you had another nightmare again. You need to tell Akino. Hearing Tiamat say that, his right hand has a yellow circle on the back of his hand and glows every time Tiamat talks to him from outside his mind. She is doing this in hopes someone overhears. No, I won't concern her with my dreams, Deku told his partner, who thought that was stupid. Stubborn like the others, Tiamat thought while Deku looks around the room to see if anyone is in the room. I want to kill them all. You should be the one to know that most, Tiamat. Deku thought with his right hand touching the right side of his face and could see through the fingers with the images replaying in his mind, which caused for a split second his eyes turn into blood-red slitted eyes but turns back to normal, causing the window to suddenly crack, which gains Deku's attention to see what just happened and even voiced it. What just happened? Deku said in confusion and walked over to the cracked window. As this was happening, Tiamat stays silent, knowing full well what's happening, but her thoughts began thinking back to her first user, which was the son of an angel. Deku comes from a long line of powerful beings that even he didn't know. On Deku's father's side of the family, his great-great-grandfather was an angel and his great-great-grandmother was a fallen angel. His great-grandfather was a fallen angel and his great-grandmother was human. Minato's father was born human without the traits of an angel or fallen angel for some reason that could never be solved. On Deku's mother's side of the family, her great-great-grandfather was a devil and her great-great-grandmother was a kitsune. Her great-grandfather was a kitsune and her great-grandmother was human. Her father was human and not born with any of the kitsune or devil traits, just like Deku. I better go hunting for fallen angels again, Deku thought while getting dressed into his school clothes, since he was wearing only boxers when he went to sleep. By the time Deku begins walking to the door, it opens to reveal Akino standing at the doorway, surprising him. Akino, what are you doing here? Deku questioned the girl, who just gives him a seductive smile, gaining a blush from the sacred gear user. Oh crap, don't tell me, Deku thought while he started to take a few steps back slowly. So I was thinking, since we're alone in this building, we can have some fun, Akino said, but blinks in surprise at seeing Deku quietly going to the window, but stops seeing Akino having her hands on her hips with an eyebrow raises. I think I'll be going out for a stroll, Deku told the girl while he opens the window, but when he was about to jump out, Akino gets behind him and grabs his arm tightly, since she held his arm between her breasts. You aren't getting away, Deku. It's time for us to get to know each other a lot better, Akino said to the young man while smiling cutely at him. I'm too young to lose my virginity, Deku thought just as he jumps out the window, which Akino then jumps out too, running after him on the ground. Deku, you aren't getting away from me, Akino yells as she jumps on top of Deku in public, gaining attention of the students to find Akino on top of Deku, but their eyes widen at seeing the blushing whiskered student touching Akino's bust. The boys watching are now and pissed off at seeing this, while all the girls are now jealous. Akino starts circling her index finger across Deku's chest, still smiling seductively at him. So where were we? Akino questions her most closest friend, who was sweating a lot. Wait, you're gonna do it right in front of these people, Deku yelled, which Akino just smiled more at hearing that. Deku, Akino, what are you doing? Someone asked, which the two turned to find Rias looking at them. Thank you God. Deku thought to himself while Akino gets off of Deku with a look of disappointment on her face. You ruined my time with Deku, Akino said with a pout, gaining a sigh from both Deku and Rias. Do you realize that you had watchers and were about to do it in front of them? Rias questioned her best friend who just nods, once again smiling. Yes, it would be more exciting that way, right? And our Akino stops and seeing that Deku is gone. Sign. Guess I'll have to find him again, Akino said to herself while behind a tree was Deku hiding from Akino. You know, you really are stupid, you know that. You can't keep hiding from her, came the words of Tiamat to Deku. Shut up. I'm not running, I'm getting some distance and thinking of a plan. Thought to himself with his heart beating fast. That's still called running away, Tiamat said back to Deku who just sighs. Deku, Akino said, standing right next to Deku freaking the hell out of him, and before he could run, she hugs him much to the surprise of Deku. Aren't you gonna try and have your way with me? Deku asked her Akino who gives a little laugh. Who said anything about that? Akino questions the now surprised Deku. Huh? Deku said with shock, not believing what she just said. Suddenly he feels something soft on his lips and his eyes widen. Akino was kissing him, much to his shock. By the time she stops, the queen took a step away from Deku. I just wanted to give you a kiss, but my Deku. You must have thought I was talking about something else. You are very perverted, you know. But if you insist once we get back to my place we can… Akino was cut off by seeing Deku blushing bright red. Let's go back to the club room. Rias will be wondering where we have been, Akino said, pulling along a blushing Deku. She toyed with me, Deku thought, disappointed in himself. Wow, you were stupid, Tiamat said to Deku who looks down sadly. Oh, shut up, Deku thought to himself sadly. Time skip at the club room. Deku is currently sitting down on the couch next to both Kaneko and Akino. Watch this. Akino mouths to Kaneko and starts to rub Deku's right cheek, and it resulted in his eyes close halfway along with he starts to purr. Kaneko couldn't help but blush at seeing this, thinking it's the cutest thing she ever saw, and starts rubbing his left cheek, too, resulting in Deku making a much louder purr. I swear he might be related to a kitsune, Akino said to Kaneko who continues to make Deku purr. They soon stop, much to the disappointment of Deku who suddenly shakes his head. What just happened? Deku asked, but both girls were looking away, but their attention was drawn to Rias slapping Issei. For the last time, when I say don't then you don't. You have to forget about Asia. You are a member of the Gremory family now, Rias told Issei, not fooling around. Fine. Maybe it's time you release me from your household because I refuse to just let her go, Issei said, looking at Rias with determination. I'm sorry, but I can't do that, Rias told her pawn. Of course not. I'm your precious pawn. Can't do without your most important piece, can you? Issei said to her, which she yells back at him. That's enough, Issei, Rice yelled, surprising Issei. Pawns are important, they're not the weakest piece in the game by any means. Do you remember when I told you about my evil pieces have the same attributes as their chess characters? Rias said to her most favorite pawn. Yeah, but so what can a stupid pawn do? Issei asked his master, not understanding it at all. In this chess game quite a bit, if a pawn advances deep enough in enemy territory it can be promoted to any other piece beside the king. Rias told Issei, much to his surprise. So that means I can have all the same powers as everybody else? Issei said, now knowing a new technique. Yes, but only if the master declares the place enemy territory, say for example the Fallen One's church. Rias stopped immediately, but it was too late. Deku heard the word fallen, which resulted in his sacred gear appearing. Fallen angels are at the church, Deku yelled while standing up, completely serious. Nah. Akino stopped at seeing Deku jumping out the window with eyes filled with rage. I'm gonna kill them, Deku thought to himself, filled with anger. This is the worst. Standing guard is the most boring thing. Eve. The fallen angel Middlet was cut off after seeing a blonde guy walking towards her with his sacred gear activated. Ask and you shall friggin' receive, Middlet said with a smile appearing on her face as she jumps off the tree. Hi there, I'm Middlet. She was cut off by Deku who suddenly grabbed her by the throat, lifting the girl up in the air above himself. You talk too much, Deku told the girl with a dark look in his eyes and drops her, which he instantly punched her in the face, sending the fallen angel into the tree find her. Damn it! Have you ever heard that you shouldn't hit a girl? She yells but stopped cold at finding Deku standing over her, looking directly at her with the dark look in his eyes. Weak, Deku muttered before he knees her in the stomach, causing her to spit out blood from the impact of the knee. As he began beating her, a portal appears behind him, which both Rias and Aquino appear. Seems he got here first, Rias said, gaining the attention of Deku, who held the girl by her and holding her against the tree. What are you two doing here? Deku questioned the two devils just as the fallen angel began to flail but stopped after Deku slowly began applying pressure that caused her movement to slowly stop until she no longer moved. She should have used her powers. Hearing that, Deku looks up at two more fallen angels, Calawarner standing next to Donaseek. Unfortunately, we meet again, Lady Gremory, Donaseek said to the crimson-haired princess while Deku just drops the weak fallen angel on the ground. We need to pay back your servants, Calawarner said, but noticed Deku starting to smile, unnerving him. Time to kill, Deku yells as the jewel in his sacred gear glows bright yellow. Chaos, Karma, Dragon, Destroy, came the words from his sacred gear, shouting loudly. Armor begins covering Deku's body slowly, resembling both Valley and Issei's scale mails except for the glowing yellow fingers and toes, along with the angel-like dragon wings sprouting from his back. The armor itself is dark blue while its jewels are dark yellow. Balance Breaker, Chaos, Karma, Scale Mail, Deku shouted loudly in his armor and cracks both of fists. Who's first? And just to tell you the truth, I hate holding back, Deku said, excited at getting to kill some fall angels. Balance Breaker. So it was true, he's the one we've been hearing about. The one called the Fallen Angel Hunter, Donaseek said loudly, not believing he's facing this guy of all people who goes ballistic against fallen angels, being said to have ripped a pair of wings off of a fallen angel. Hewad stopped by Deku, moving too fast since he was already behind him, and just like the fallen had stated, his wings were ripped off by force, gaining a painful yell from Donaseek while the others were amazed at his new level of speed. Fast, Aquino thought, shocked seeing that Deku had gotten faster from last time they met as well as more brutal. Calawarner immediately created a light spear and was about to throw it at Deku, but he stood right in front of her with his right fist drawn back, having a yellow orb at the end of the fist, and rams it into her stomach. Soon enough, a beam erupts from her body, causing her to hit the ground dead. Deku glances at the running Donaseek, who suddenly had his face rubbing against the dirt in a straight line due to Deku slamming his right hand down on the back of his head. When he looks behind himself, he was staring at the one who will send him to hell. Show mercy, Donaseek pleaded of Deku, who just smiles. Why would I show you fallen angels mercy? After all, you took my parents away from me, Deku said to the fallen angel just before piercing through his chest with his right hand so he could rip out his own heart and crush it in front of his own eyes. As this happened, Aquino couldn't help but look away. His hate has grown stronger towards fallen angels, Rias thought to herself, seeing at how he killed the three fallen angels. By the time he stood up from the dead body, he returns to normal. Deku. Hearing Aquino say his name, Deku looks at her with a smile. Sorry about that, I wasn't myself again. Deku apologized sadly and begins walking towards the building. Let's help Issei, shall we? Deku asked the two, but Aquino stayed behind to clean up the mess. When the two arrive, they watch to see Issei win against Rainier by punching her outside the window. Deku was the one to drag Rainier in the room and throws her in front of everyone. Nice to meet you, fallen angel Rainier. I am Rias Gremory, heir to the Gremory clan, Rias said with a smirk to the beaten fallen angel. You're a daughter of the Gremory clan, Rainier said in realization that she just screwed up. So pleased to make your acquaintance, although I'm sure we won't know each other for much longer. And also, just after Rias said that, Deku drops 3 feathers in front of a horrified Rainier. Your friends who came to greet us, Deku sent them flying away, Rias told the more fearful Rainier. Sent them flying away? Issei asked, surprised to hear that. Deku killed them as well as posses a strong sacred gear like yours, Issei, Yudo told his friend while smiling. A daughter of Gremory. How dare you? Rainier said to the girl who began speaking. Ever since you targeted Issei, we got wind of a fallen angel plot in this city. If only you hadn't interfered with us, I would have let you be. Rias told the fallen angel who could be escape. President, does this mean you did this for me? Issei asked him. Master, who answers? Issei. That sacred gear. Rias said while looking at the sacred gear on Issei's arm. Yeah, it changed so suddenly. Issei said. His master, who started speaking again. Wow, and faster than Deku. I see, that's how it happened. Fallen angel Rainier. Issei's was not just a simple twice critical. Rias said, now confusing the fallen angel at what she means. What? Rainier voiced her confused thoughts and got her answer when Rias began speaking again. It can increase its wielder's powers immeasurably for just 10 seconds, to the point where even a god could be destroyed. The Crimson Emperor Dragon's Gauntlet, the boosted gear, it is one of the 14 Longinus gears. It doubles the owner's power every 10 seconds, allowing him to transcend both God and Satan at will. Deku's is different, which allows his friends to lend their power to him, but it is also considered one of the 14 Longinus gears due to its ability. One of the 5 great dragon kings resides in Deku's gauntlet. Rias told the fallen angel who froze, the legendary power that is said to destroy a god, possessed by these children. Rainier thought to herself angrily, no matter how powerful it is, it needs time to power up, so it's not almighty. It's because your opponent let her guard down. You won. And now you will disappear, fallen angel. Rias said to the fallen angel. Issei. Rainier said to Deku's fellow student while changing back to her other form, surprising them and most of all shocking Issei. Help me. I might have said all that, but as a fallen angel I had no choice but to do what I did. Rainier said, and Deku glares at her with tick marks appearing. Yuma. Issei said with eyes filled with disbelief. See? As proof, I didn't throw this away. You remember, don't you? You bought this for me. Rainier said, showing him the bracelet she kept wearing. Why do you still have that? Issei questioned her while he approached Rainier. I just couldn't part with it. I mean, you have it. Rainier said while Deku was about to kill her. Please save me. Issei. Rainier begged of him, trying to trick Issei. How far will you go? Deku, please do it. Hearing Issei say that while turning around, Deku couldn't help but smile. Rainier's eyes widened at Deku, grabbing her by the face as his gauntlet appeared and began charging up with it starting to glow. I have I sister. If you kill me then. She was cut off by her body being consumed by the yellow beam. If she comes after me, I'll kill her too. Deku said to the now obliterated fallen angel and starts walking away. If you need me, I will be with Akino. Deku said while walking away with his gauntlet turning back to normal. Sometime later, back at the clubhouse, I win again, Deku. Akino said to her closest friend after beating him at chess again. Deku just sighs while looking dish sadly. Dang it, Deku said, but Akino leans over the small table towards Deku and kisses him on the cheek. Deku could only blush in response to the kiss while Tiamat just chuckled. Guess you buy me lunch. Hearing that, Deku went through his frog wallet until Akino suddenly took his wallet. Let's buy a cake for everyone. Just after saying that, Akino dashes for the window and jumps out. Hey, I never agreed to that. Deku yelled after Akino as he too jumps out of the window following after the girl who stole his wallet. Deku is currently in scale mail, training by himself with the forest alone. He's on one knee while breathing hard and surrounded by destroyed trees. I must get stronger if I want to kill him, Deku thought to himself while standing up slowly. Deku, you should take a break, you're exhausting yourself, came the words of a worried Tiamat. No, I must get stronger, the way I am. I don't have a chance against Kokobile, I must kill him, Deku told her and yells, forming 2 yellow orbs in both of his hands. Twin dragon shot, Deku yelled, firing both shots straight ahead, and they blow through the trees like there were nothing, with an explosion happening far away from him. Just after using that attack, Deku falls on both of his knees with his mail scale deactivating. You pushed yourself way too hard, Tiamat said to Deku with an image appearing behind the exhausted Deku. I don't care, Deku yelled with his gauntlet appearing as he starts to create a swirling sphere in his hand, but it disappears with Deku ending up falling to the ground, unable to get up back up. Again, Deku? Came the words of Rias standing next to Akino in front of the unmoving Deku. Just fix the area, this is none of your business, Deku told the Gremory, but starts sweating at seeing Akino glaring at the unmoving and now sweating Deku. Stop acting tough. You can't keep acting strong like you're God. You're only human after all, Akino said to her closest friend loudly, causing the blonde to look away. God. He didn't do anything to save my parents. Deku told her, and with all his strength, he flips himself over on his back through he once again could not move but stare at the sky, then at the angry Akino. Those fallen angels took my family away. Deku was cut off by Akino kneeling down in order to give Deku a slap across his face, much to his shock, as she then pulls him up so he would be sitting up just as she hugs him. Please just stop this already. Please. Akino begged Deku sadly, no longer wanting to see him this way again. I will never stop. I will annihilate every single one of them, Deku said to her with his hands turning into fists. Hearing that, Akino could only hug him more tightly. Feeling her hug get tighter, he just starts shaking. I can't afford to stop. At this rate, I can never defeat Kokobile, Deku said with tears falling from his eyes as he pushes away the surprised Akino, who watched him grab his head. I need to get stronger. I need to avenge my family. I want to get stronger. Even after that day, I still see it in my dreams how my parents were killed. I must get stronger. Deku yells in anger to the heavens. Deep within him, something starts to cracker his will to get stronger. Akino just hugs Deku once again. Don't worry, you will become stronger. I believe in you, Akino told the one she cares about most, which Deku leans his head against Akino's. If you weren't with me from the very beginning, I probably would have killed myself out of sadness, Deku told Akino, causing her eyes to widen in shock. I don't want any secrets to keep us apart. I care for you more than myself, and that's why I need to get stronger in order to protect you and the others, Deku told Akino, and finally passes out after testing his limit. Akino just stares down at Deku with nothing but guilt. Rias just watched this, thinking about Deku's family ties. Not much is known about his family, but why do I get this weird feeling of fear every time I see him? Rias thought to herself, not understanding what this feeling is. The flute of the awakening, Deku muttered in his sleep, catching both of them off guard. Flute of awakening, but that flute. How does he know about that forbidden flute? Rias thought to herself, remembering what her older brother told her about one of their most forbidden secrets involving the kitsunes. You must always remember, if a kitsune ever got a hold of this flute, he must never play it, especially if he has 9 tails. The first and last one who ever played it was Kurama. That flute made him turn into something that even God couldn't defeat alone. What do you mean, and who's Kurama? Kurama was the leader of the kitsunes in the past, and he was very powerful. It took God and the 4 original Satans to defeat the monster. On that day, he was given another name, 10 Tails. Time skip at the club room. Deku is currently sitting down next to Akino and Kaneko on the couch, while Kiba, Issei, and Asia aren't here yet. Kaneko was eating sweats while Deku is relaxing with Akino, both smiling happily. Rias was looking through a book on exorcists on Deku's family, trying to find who he's related to, but there was nothing about Deku's family. Why do I get the feeling that no matter what I do, there isn't any information I can find about his family? Rias thought to herself, confused at why she can't find any information about Deku. As she was thinking, Deku heard some suture sing news. Are you serious? Asia is living with Issei now? Deku asked Akino while hearing a very pissed off Tiamat. What? That cannot be allowed. That perverted boy will surely rape the girl, Tiamat yells inside Deku's head, which he just sweat drops a little. Well, Tiamat doesn't like the idea, Deku said, and Tiamat began yelling out loud for everyone to hear her speak. I hate that idea. The perverted dragon and guy living with a nice girl. That can't be allowed. Kill him. Kill him now while you have the chance, Tiamat yells and activates his scale mail while Junior was still sitting on the couch. WTF? How the hell did you do that? Deku demanded of his partner while standing up, which Akino couldn't help but laugh at seeing this. Stupid, Kaneko said, which Deku gets a tick mark. How am I stupid? Deku yells at her, but she continues eating her food, which Deku face faults. Serious, Deku stops, grabbing his head in pain, drawing their attention. The scale mail disappears with Deku once again breathing hard. Deku, are you okay? Akino asked him worriedly, which he just gives her a reassuring smile. Yeah, this happened a few times recently. I don't know why, but I should get home and rest, Deku said to her while standing up fully. He turns to Akino with a smile on his face. I'll be back tomorrow, Deku told her while smiling, and leaves the room with the door shutting behind him. Just after the door closed, he falls to one knee. Tiamat, what is happening to me? Deku thinks, but she doesn't get an answer regardless when he keeps asking. In the end, Deku stands up and begins walking home to his apartment. Some time later, everyone is in the room and Rias wanted to show them all something. The crimson-haired princess sticks out her hand and some kind of cartoon bat appears in her hand. This is my familiar. You've met her previously, Issei. Rias told her pawn as the bat flies up. Huh? Was all Issei could say just as the bat transforms into a girl. Didn't see that coming. Deku thought with surprise while blinking and the girl winks at Deku much to his surprise, but Akino gets behind Deku, wrapping her arms around him much to his embarrassment. He's mine, Akino said to the bat girl who pouts. Then that girl was. Issei said and the girl transforms back into her bat form. This is mine, Akino said and lets go of Deku just as a green imp appears on the ground. An imp? Issei said with surprise at seeing it. This is Shiro. Kaneko sapped and they turn to see her holding a cat. The cat jumps out of Kaneko's arms and starts running her head against Deku's legs, surprising them all. Meow. The cat said and Deku kneels down and scratches the cat behind the ears, causing her to purr, and he picks the cat up so he could hand her back to Kaneko. Mine is. Kiba stops, seeing Issei losing interest in the conversation. I don't want to see yours, Issei said, gaining an uncomfortable smile from Kiba. Oh, come on. Kiba said, sweat dripping while having a smile on his face. It's a basic thing for demons. They can assist you, deliver messages, and even find things. Rias told her comrades while smiling. How do you get a familiar? Asia asked questionably at what she told them. That is. Rias was cut off by hearing a knock at the door which some other students enter. Please excuse us, the leader of the group said to all of them. Say she is. Issei said, knowing who she is. Issei, can you fill me in on who the heck she is? Deku asked the prevented Dragon Emperor. She's the student council president, Sauna Shirtorai. Next to her is the vice president Shinra Tsubaki. Actually, these are all student council members, Issei said to Deku, who just blinks in surprise. What brings all of you here? Rice asked them, wanting to know why they entered her room. Just a greeting, since both of us have some new servants, Sona said to her friend. Servants? Don't tell me, Issei said with surprise and understanding. Her real name is Sona Citri. She's the heiress apparent of the upper-class Citri family. Akino tons the ones, but most of all Issei, who did not know. There are other demons in this school? Issei asked, not knowing about this. Rias, you didn't tell him about us? It's strange he wouldn't notice fellow demons, though, Saji said to the crimson-haired princess. Saji, the two families do not meddle in each other's affairs. It's no surprise that Hayudu is unaware, Sona said to her comrade. You're the guy who recently joined the student council as the secretary. Class 2Cs, Issei said, which Sona introduces him. Saji Genshiro, my pawn, Sona said to the Red Dragon Emperor. This is my pawn, Issei Hayudu, and my bishop, Asia Argento, Rias said with a smile, introducing the two of them. Oh, you're a pawn too, and we're also in the same grade, Issei said to me, he man who started speaking as if he was better than him. I must say that being the same piece as one of the perverted trio seriously hurts my pride, Saji said, which Deku just raises an eyebrow. Something tells me you're an emo. Just don't go cutting yourself in this room, we got new carpet and hate to buy new ones, Deku said, shocking the others at him, defending Issei while Saji's eye twitches, and some of the girls in Sona's peerage start to chuckle, including Kaneko and Sona. What did you say? Saji yelled at Dekuho, just smiles. You must be deaf. I'll buy you a hearing aid, Deku said, pissing him off even more. I'm a pawn that was worth 4 pieces, Saji said to Deku, who just won. Saji, don't, Sona said, not wanting him to compare who's worth more. Yeah, and he was worth 8, idiot, Deku said, much to his shock. 8? Isn't that all of them? Saji said, which Deku just claps. Congratulations, you can actually count, Deku said, soon patting his back. I was wrong. You aren't an emo, thank God, Deku said, which Saji just face faults. I can't believe this. A guy like him was worth 8. Saji was soon cut off by Issei. Shut up, Issei yelled at the guy. Apologies for that, Hayudu Argento. Try to get along with him if you can. He's also a new to being a demon. Saji, Sona said, looking at Saji. Yes, ma'am, Saji said, sticking out his hand towards Asia. Pleased to meet you, Saji said, which Deku just sighs to himself. Pleased to meet you too, Asia said, and Saji puts both hands on hers. To be with a cutie like you, the pleasure is all mine, Saji said with a smile, pissing Issei off, and he grabs Saji's hand, making him stop, and starts twisting it. Saji, nice to meet you, Issei said with a fake smile. Is it me, or is every pawn that's a guy turns out to be a pervert or turns into a pervert after becoming a pawn? Deku voiced his thoughts, which both glare at Deku. Shut up, they yell, but Deku rams both of their heads together, making them fall to the ground. What is with you guys having pawns that are perverts? It's really annoying, Deku asked the two, which both girls sigh. So are you gonna get Issei a familiar or what? Deku asked while looking at Rias. So you are going to go to him as well? Sona asked Rias with clear surprise. Yeah, I had some time next week in mind, though, Rias said to her friend, who once again starts speaking. But he's only available once a month, Sona said in a thinking pose. Then how about deciding it with a fair game? Rias asked, causing Sona's eyes to widen all the way. A game? Sona asked with surprise on her face. The winner gains the right to commission him, Riyadh said to her friend. Are you talking about a rating game? Sona questions Rias, who just gives her a little laugh. Oh no, we'd never even be granted permission for that, Rias said to her, which Sona began speaking again. Right? You can't afford to harm yourself right now after all. Hearing her say that, Deku looks at Rias to see that her eyes were narrowed. What's she talking about? Deku questioned Rias, who isn't looking at Deku but at the ground. That's irrelevant. Oh, I know. Let's settle it through sports like the high school students we are, Rias said to Sona while Deku visibly sweat drops. Oh great, this may not end well, Deku thought to himself, knowing full well this isn't gonna be good. Deku is currently sitting with Kaneko, who's holding 2 destroyed tennis rackets. The match just wouldn't end, so Kaneko says, and Kiba, Issei, and Asia are also in the room. You guys will be doing a team match, Deku said. A team match? Issei says, not expecting that. President and Akino are discussing the matter with the student council right now, Kiba says, and the door opens, drawing all their attention. We decided on dodgeball, Rias says, smiling along with Akino and both entering the room. The match is tomorrow night at the gym. Let's do our best for Issei and Asia, Rias says, and they all say yes except Deku. Thank you very much, Asia says, smiling happily. Everyone, Issei says, smiling. This will not end well, I just have the feeling something bad will happen, Deku thinks. Next day at night at the gym. They have 2 more me members than us, so I asked them to referee, Rias says. Issei is stretching on the ground and Kaneko is pushing against his back, helping him stretch farther. Look up episode 7 for what I mean. I haven't played dodgeball since elemental school, Issei says. The goal is to select a winner, so we went die a game with simple rules, Rice says, passing the ball to Kiba, who catches it. The whole time Deku is standing on the balcony watching. Asia learned them quickly too, Kiba says. I'm at my limit, Asia says, not being able to stretch anymore. Just a little more, Akino says, trying to help Asia stretch farther. Deku starts to blush seeing the pose and outfit Akino is in and turns away. You really need to ask her out, Tiamat says, sweat dropping and annoyed seeing Deku watch Akino like a pervert. What? Are you serious? It's just, Deku says, treacly nervous and shy about asking Akino on a date. Tiamat signs at this. Both Deku and Tiamat eye twitches. Well, Tiamat's eye twitches mentally, both seeing Issei having orverted thoughts watching Asia and Akino. Kaneko looks at Deku, who nods, and she turns back to Issei and forces him to stretch further, making him scream like a girl. Deku swore he heard cracks. That had to hurt, Deku says, feeling bad for Issei. Deku lays against the wall and tries to catch some sleep. Time skipped during game. Deku is currently sleeping when he wakes up hearing that it has begun and turns to see the girls' clothes ripped a little and a lot of them destroyed. What kind of dodgeball game is this? Deku thinks, seeing all of them releasing their powers. A dodgeball flies through the window. Dodgeball is a very scary sport, Asia says, scared. I don't know what sport we're playing anymore, Issei says, freaked out. President, let's take out Hayudu first, Saji says, and Sona jumps in the air. Shitori-style sinker bomb shot, Sona yells, throwing the dodgeball heading straight for Issei. What? Issei yells, running away, and the ball is chasing him. Why? Issei yells, not wanting it to chase him. Issei, dodge it. Rias yells but Issei is doing everything to dodge it, but it's following him like a seeking missile and the ball is covered in dark blue energy. The dodgeball then hits Issei in the nuts which makes Deku flinch. Ahahahaha. The pervert deserved it. Tiamat says laughing and Deku's sweat drops at Tiamat's personality. Issei falls to the ground in pain. It's all over. Issei says covering his nuts. Deku, can you be the replacement for Issei? Where's Deku? Akino says seeing only a cloud of smoke. Wow, that was fast, Kiba says. Outside gym. Hell no, and I playing that game. Deku yells running for his life. Deku heard a scream of pain coming from Saji inside the gym, making him run faster. Coward. Tiamat says disappointed in Deku. Shut up. Deku yells retorting. Time skip. Thank God that game was over. I didn't want to be chased into playing it. Deku says signing happily and Akino laughs a little. The Occult Research Club has marvelously defeated the Student Council. You all made it happen except you, Deku. You ran away when we needed you as a replacement, but we were able to win. Rias says glaring at Deku, who looks down sadly. Sorry. Deku says, so, Q getting the familiars when? Deku said with a raised eyebrow. Right now, of course. Rias says and Deku face faults. Right after that devil dodgeball game. Deku says sweat dropping. Yes, we can only meet him when there's a full moon. Rias says watching Akino open the portal. Him? Issei says, the familiar master. Rias says, time skip to familiar master. They all appear in a dark woods. Where are we? Issei says, the forest where familiars are created. Akino says smiling. We got our familiars here as well. Kiba says and Kaneko nods. This place does look creepy, like something's gonna lash out at me. Issei says a little creeped out. Why yes? Asia says hiding behind Issei. Gotta catch 'em all. A guy yells above them. I'm the familiar master, Zatuji. Zatuji yells proudly. That's the familiar master. I was expecting more. Deku says and Zatuji loses his balance, making him fall off the tree branch into the ground. It's a nice full moon today. The best day to catch some familiar. I can catch any familiar. Zatuji says and Deku looks away, not a care in the world. He's a professional when it comes to catching them, Akino says. I see. Issei says, now what are you looking for in a familiar? Strength? Speed? Or maybe one with poison ability? Zatuji says, actually, do you have a cute familiar? One that looks like a girl. Issei says and Deku facepalms at Issei's stupidity. TSK, you newbies can't do it right. You want familiars to be useful and strong. That is to say, you must know their abilities and chose one that complements your own. Zatuji says trying to act cool. I want a cute familiar as well, Asia says. Oh, sure thing, baby. Zatuji says blushing. Oh great, another pervert, Deku thinks annoyed. Thank you so much. Asia says, you. Issei says angrily for what he said to him and not Asia. 5 minutes later at a pond. The water spirit Undine lives in this lake. Zatuji says, the water spirit. Judging from the name, it's probably someone as a future harem king I'll want to keep around. Issei is stopped by Deku whacking him in the head with his fist. The lake. Kiba says, oh, Undine's coming out. Zatuji says and a she-monster appears, shocking Issei. That's Undine, Zatuji says smiling. No, that's a fighter who came here to bathe no matter how you look at her. Issei yells, you're in luck, boy. It's pretty rare to come across one. A fighting-oriented water spirit isn't bad. Zatuji says and sees a big shadow in the forest move which makes his eyes narrow. It's here again. Zatuji thinks, it's bad. It looks more like a hitman than a gentle spirit. Issei yells, but it is female. Zatuji says, making Issei fall to his knees. That's one thing I really didn't want to know, Issei says. Time skip 3 minutes later. Zatuji sees the bushes moving and looks around worriedly. If they don't hurry up, it'll attack, Zatuji thinks, but she had pure eyes. Ensure Asia's a good-natured girl. Asia says, looking at Issei, who looks sick to his stomach. Please don't call that a girl, Issei says. Wait, Zatuji says, and they all stop. Look! Zatuji says, pointing up at a small blue dragon. D-dragon? Issei says, it's cute. Asia says, smiling. Sprite dragon. Child of the dragon that wields cerulean lightning. Zatuji says, it's a quite high-class one, Kiba says, smiling. It's my first time actually seeing one. Ria says, Bo's the only chance to catch it. It's impossible to catch in mature form. Zatuji says. Issei has the power of the Emperor of Red Dragon, so the compatibility should be fine. Akino says, thinking she's right. I see. Alright, Sprite Dragon, I chose you dash. Issei is stopped hearing a roar followed by other roars. This isn't good. They're attacking now. Zatuji says, getting ready, drawing their attention. It's here. Zatuji yells, getting in front of everyone. What's here? Ria says, and her eyes widen seeing it. What is that? Issei says, talking steps back, seeing a big monster the same size as a griffin. It has 9 heads and it appears to be looking straight at Deku. It's a 9-headed hydra? Why is it here? Deku said, and they all take steps back while it takes a step forward. It must have been drawn from all the telling that kid was making. Zatuji says, pointing at Issei. So why doesn't it leave? Asia says fearfully, it might be here to try and kill us. Hydras have deadly poison that even devils fear and its immortal body. It is one of the most evil pets who would even kill its own master dash. Zatuji is shocked when its heads go towards Deku and faster anyone knew it was now staring Deku in the face. Hi. Deku says, and the hydra bends down staring at Deku. Deku's hand moves by its own and touches the hydra's head, making it close its eyes. I can't believe it. Wait a second, he's human? Zatuji says, and Rias nods. The hydra should have killed him, it hates humans, but why would it like the kid? Zatuji says, shocked. I'll call him Roku. Deku says, drawing their attention, and the hydra looks like it's smiling. That's creepy, Issei says, and dodges acid gas from the Roku's heads. Sorry. Issei yells, hiding behind Rias. Well, what to come along with me? Deku says, and Roku licks his face. Okay, I'll take that as a yes. Deku says and signs a contract with Roku. What the hell is this kid? Hydras don't usually get along with people. Zatuji thinks, looking at the boy. They see blue lightning and it zaps Issei. What was that? Issei says, falling to the ground. The Sprite Dragon is flying above them. Was that Sprite Dragon's lightning? Ria says, damn you. Issei yells and is zapped by more blue lightning. Issei. Asia says, and the dragon flies on Asia's shoulder. This is. Kaneko says, realizing what's happening. It only attacks things it recognized as enemies. It must have thought the boy was attacking the blonde girl. Zatuji says, smiling. That means. Kiba says, it's cute. Asia says, opening her hands, which the dragon flies into, and she hugs it. Well, looks like you got your familiar beauty. Zatuji says, smiling. Time skip. I, in the name of Asia Argento, I order you to form a contract as my familiar. Azua says, and it's done. Alright, we're done. Well done, Asia. Akino says, the dragon flies into her arms again and starts to kick her cheek. That tickles, Rasei. Asia says, making the dragon. Rasei? Issei says, yes, since he shoots lightning. I took party of it from your name as well. Asia says with a light blush. Well, it's all good. Nice to meet you, Rasei. Issei says, about to purr it, but Rasei blasts him with lightning again, surprising them. I like him, he keeps attacking Issei. Tiamat says, oh, I forgot to tell you, but male dragons hate makes of other species. Zatuji says, smiling. Rasei, you're a mischievous kid. Ria says, why can't I get a beautiful familiar? Issei yells, crying. Death to perverts. Kaneko says, punching Issei in the face. Time skip back at the club room at dawn. It is says that Sprite Dragons only open up to ones with a pure heart. It wouldn't normally follow a demon. Could be because Asia used to be a nun. Akino says, smiling, seeing Rasei cuddling with Asia.
Rasei, you bastard.
What are you doing to Asia? Issei says jealously but is zapped by lightning. Rasei, don't harm others. Asia says, and Kaneko is watching all this, eating a cookie. See you, Rasei. Asia says, and Rasei disappears. Issei stands up from being called by lightning. I became a demon before her, but she's more like a real demon than me. It's depressing. Damn it. I'll catch a familiar that'll blow your mind someday. Issei yells. I'll be looking forward to it. Good work, everyone. Kiba says, and they all begin leaving, except Deku, Rias, and Akino. Issei still hassle a long way to go. Rias says, smiling. He's just begun, Deku says. Yes. Rias says, looking at his headband he aired at the dodgeball game. Deku? Where's Roku? Rias says, and Deku smiles. Don't worry. I let him go back to his forest. It appears that Zatuji gave me a red jewel that allows Roku to go back to that forest whenever he's done with a job. Deku says, smiling. Deku is standing against the wall next to Akino. Rias, Grafia, and Kaneko are in the room as well. Hey everyone. Issei says entering the room with Kiba and Asia. Grafia. Issei says recognizing her from yesterday. Looks like you're all here. Rias says standing up. Milady, should I talk to them? Grafia says and Rias makes and no motion with her hand. The truth is, Rias says and an orange circle appears drawing their attention. Flames come out of it. Rias narrows her eyes. Phoenix. Rias says seeing a man inside the flames and the flames disappear. I haven't been to the human realm in a while. I've come for you, Rias, my love, the man says. Who's this guy? Issei says not liking him one bit. This is Riser Phoenix-sama, a pure-blooded, upper-class demon and the third son of the Phoenix family. Grafia says, Phoenix family? Issei says never hearing that name before. He's also the fiancé of the Gremory family's heiress apparent. Grafia said and Deku's eyes sudden at this. Then that means, Deku thinks looking at Rias. The Gremory family. Heiress apparent. Don't tell me. Issei says not liking this at all. That is to say, he's engaged to Lady Rias. Grafia says. Engaged? Issei yells shocked. Time skip. My Rias queen prepared quite delicious tea. Riser says sitting in the couch with his arm around Rias. If you even think about hitting on Akino, I'll feed you to Roku, Deku said drawing Riser's attention. Who's Roku? Riser said. Deku's familiar, it's a 9-headed hydra. Rias says and Riser laughs. Ahahahaha. A human making a hydra his familiar. That's hilarious. Riser says laughing and Deku's eye twitches. He won't be laughing when he sees Roku. Deku thinks angrily and was tempted to summon him in the room but it's too small. Cut it out already. Rias says standing up not liking him touching her. Riser, I told you last time. I don't intend to marry you. Rias says looking the other way with her eyes closed. But, Rias, I thought your family was with its back to the wall. So you're in no position to be this selfish. Riser says smiling. I'm not going to bring my family down. I'm going to take a husband. But I will marry someone I want to be with, Rias says. The entire demon world struggles to preserve the lineages of pure-blooded demons after the last war made them a rarity. Our fathers arranged this marriage for the common good. Riser says trying to convince Rias to marry him. My father, elder brother, and other family members are all rushing too much. I won't say it twice, Riser. I'm not going to marry you. Rias says turning around to meet Riser standing in front of her and he holds her chin in his right hand and leans closer to her. You know, Rias, I am the face of the Phoenix family. I cannot have you sully my honor, Riser says. President. Issei yells and they all get a little angry at this. I'll take you back to the underworld. Even if it means burning all your servants to death. Riser says smiling. Touch my friends. I'll pour holy water on your face and watch you scream like a little girl. Deku says and takes out a bottle of holy water which makes Riser glare at him. Please calm down. Milady, Riser-sama, as I am here on Surzesha-sama's orders. I do not intend to stabs idly by. Grafia says and Raliser lets go of Rias. When it's you, the mightiest queen, saying that, even I am scared, Riser says. He predicted this might happen. As such, I have been charged to carry our last resort measures if no agreement is reached. Grafia says. Last resort? What do you mean, Grafia? Rias is not knowing what she's about to say. If you insist on your position, you're welcome to settle the issue with Razor-sama through a rating game. Grafia said. Rating game? Where did I? Issei says remembering where he heard those words before. Right, the student council president was saying something like that. Issei says, it's a game that resembles chess where upper-class demons fight using their servants. Kiba said, chess. Issei says, that is why your powers are likened to chess pieces. Why you're called evil pieces, Deku says and Issei gets it. I see, Issei says, I've played the game many times and won many times as well. You're not even an officially qualified player, let alone have any experience. Riser says making Rias glare at him. Originally, only seasoned demons were allowed to participate in a rating game. Akino says, then she's at a real disadvantage. Issei says shocked. It's getting worse. Kaneko says and Riser continues his talk. Rias, just to make sure, are these all your servants? Riser says questionably. What if they are? Rias says and Riser laughs and snaps his finger making the same orange circle appear and fire comes from it. They see 15 girls come from it. I have 15. In other words, a full set of pieces, Razor says. Beauties? 15 beautiful girls. Unbelievable. What a true man. Issei yells the last part, starting to cry, and Deku's sweat drops. Hey, Rias, that servant is crying out loud while looking at me. Riser says, annoyed by this. Forming a harem is his dream. Rias says, that's creepy. Ravel says, tell me about it. Deku said, agreeing. Oh, I see. Yubaluna. Riser says, looking at his evil pieces. Yes, Riser-sama, Yubaluna says, walking towards him. He then kisses her and Rias has a disgusted look on her face. He then starts to grope her, which Deku looks away disgusted. I hate him. Tiamat yells, you'll never be able to do things like this, you lowly imp, Riser says, smiling. Shut up. I can tell you'll flirt with other girls even after marrying our president. You promiscuous chicken shit. Issei yells and Deku shocked at that name. Don't you know your place? Riser says, annoyed, and stops groping Yubaluna. I don't care. All I'm aware of is my position. Issei says, stop, Issei. Ria says, but Issei ignored her. As president's servant. Nothing more, nothing less. Issei yells, surprising Rias, and then activates boosted gear. Issei. Rias says, even more surprised, and her eyes widen more. We don't need a stupid game. I'll bring all of you down right here. Issei yells, charging. Boost. Issei's boosted gear says, Issei. Asia yells worriedly. Mira. Riser says, and Mira moves in front if Issei stopping him. This small girl. I can't really attack her. Issei says, and the girl is about to hit him with her staff when Deku stops it with a light sword. Don't get in my dash. Mira stops cold, seeing a light gun pointed at her face and the light sword at her neck. He's faster than I thought, Riser thinks. I suggest you go back to your group now. Naruto says, putting his weapons away, and walks back to Akino's side, who knew the holder of the allegedly evilest she's strongest weapon, boosted gear, would be such a worthless guy. Riser says, making Issei angry. Why you dash? Issei stops from Deku, kneeing Issei in the stomach, shocking everyone. Issei. Ria says, running to his side. She looks at Deku. I had to do it, he would have made a bigger mess of things. Deku says and glares at Riser. All right, let's settle this with a rating game. Ria says, surprising them. Understood. Graphia says, then Riser moves back to his evil pieces. Riser. I swear I'll blast you away. Rias says angrily. I'm looking forward to it. Rias, my love. We'll meet again, fit the game. Then, Riser says they all disappear by fire. Issei must get stronger if he even wants a chance to even win. Deku said. Time skip. They're all currently heading for the place they're going to be training at. Issei is behind all of us, tired. Come on, Issei. Hurry up. It's delicious. Ria says, drinking some water and waving to Issei, who's the only one taking forever. So why did you make him take all your bags? Deku said, questionably holding his own. It's supposed to help him train, Ria says. Okay, so how far is it now? We've been hiking up here for almost 30 minutes. Issei looks like he's about to pass out. Deku says, pointing at the tired Issei. Kiba passes Issei holding his own bag that's about the same weight as Issei's bag. Damn you for showing off how easy you have it. Issei says angrily, and Kaneko passes him with her own bag that's right times bigger than Issei's, making Issei fall on his back and then bow. I give up. Issei yells. Is she carrying a house in that bag? Deku says, shocked seeing Kaneko's giant bag. Hee hee. Akino laughs a little. Finally here, Deku said, seeing the big house. Wow, this place looks lovely. Asia says happily. Let's get inside and start training right away. Ria says, shocking Issei. Training? Just as I thought. You're a monster, President. Issei says sadly, and Age turns to him. No, I'm a demon. Ria says, turning away. You guys go change, I'll stay in these clothes. Besides, I like these better, Deku said. Time skip. So this is how you're training Issei. Ria says, and all of them are watching Issei run for his life from Roku, who's breathing fire and spitting acid. I hate you, Deku. Issei yells, running behind a tree, but was destroyed. Hey, you asked me to help and I'm helping, Deku said, smiling. Well, you at least told Roku that he shouldn't kill or hurt him, just chase him. Ria says, I says he couldn't kill him, I didn't say anything about hurting. Deku says, shocking them. Don't worry, he has boosted gear and he will survive. I hope. Deku says, not wanting Roku to kill Issei. He must become stronger if he wishes stands even a chance at winning. Deku thinks watching Roku chase after Issei. Roku then knocks Issei into a tree and is about to attack Issei, making him go in a defensive motion with his hands.
Roku.
He's had enough. Deku yells and Roku looks at Deku sadly. I'm Ollie Dash. Issei stops by Roku breathing fire and setting his pants on fire. Issei yells, rolling in the ground. You can go home. Deku says, petting Roku's head, and he disappears. Keep training, Issei. I need to get some time to myself, Deku says and walks into the woods. 2 hours later, Akino is sneaking inside the woods trying to find Deku but stops seeing something she never saw before. Deku meditating by a pond. She can see birds on Deku's shoulders and a fox on his lap. I know you're there. What is it, Akino? Deku says, turning to her, and the animals leave. It's getting dark, so it's time to go back. Dinner is ready. Akino says, okay. Deku says, standing up, and falls to one knee in pain and grabs his head, worrying Akino. Deku, are you okay? Akino says, worriedly, moving to his side. Yeah, I'm fine. Deku says, standing up, and shakes his head, then passes her, making her look at him worriedly. Time skip at dinner. Issei is eyeing the girl's earring, a glare from Deku. If you wouldn't mind not eyeing them while I eat, I would be very thankful. Deku says, making Issei blush, and he starts waving his hands. I'm not doing that. Issei yells, lying, and starts to laugh. Issei. Ria says, gaining his attention. Yes, Issei says, listening. How are you feeling after your first day of training? Ria says, smiling. Well, I was the weakest, Issei says, looking down sadly. Without a doubt, but Asia's healing and your boosted gear are both valuable to use out. Opponents are aware of this too. So make sure you can at least protect yourselves and don't drag the others down, Ria says, and they agree. Ria stands up. Okay, since we've finished eating, let's take a bath. Ria says, a bath? Issei yells, standing up, and Naruto face palms. Oh crap, Deku says. There goes the percent. Tiamat says, annoyed. Oh Issei, are you planning to peek on us bathing? Wanna go in together with us? I won't mind. How about you, Akino? Ria says, turning to Akino. Well, if Deku joins, I have no problem. Akino says, and Deku chokes on his ramen and is blushing red. Asia, you won't object to bathing with your beloved, will you? Ria says, and she nods. Kaneko? Ria says, turning to her. Don't wanna, Kaneko says. Never mind. Then, Ria says, making Deku and Issei face fault. Hey, you know, Kaneko, you should reconsider, and besides, Deku has a nice body, I seen it a few times. Akino says, and Kaneko blushes, and Deku looks away, blushing redder than a tomato. Too bad. Ria says, smirking. If you two peek, I'll hate you. Kaneko says, and Deku instantly stands up. I'm not a pervert unlike him. Deku yells, and Issei becomes angry. Shut up. You're more of a pervert than I am. Issei yells and soon regrets it, seeing Deku entering scale mail. Tiamat is pissed as well from a pervert calling her host a pervert, especially the host of the Red Dragon Emperor. What was that? Deku says, angrily, cracking his knuckles. Outside, you could hear screaming from inside the building. Time skip next day after training. Issei currently has bandages all around his body from the beating he got from Deku. Never piss off Deku again. Issei thinks scared, and Rias enters the room. Rias, tell them about the start of Evil Pieces so they can understand better, Deku says, and she nods approvingly. It's about time Asia and Issei knew. Well, we demons, the fallen angels, and God with his heavenly host, waged a huge war a long time ago that seemed to last an eternity. The war was stopped due to a monster getting involved. It was angry for this war affecting its home and fought. Thankfully, God and the 4 original Satans defeated the beast before it could end everything. After that was done, the war ended with all sides suffering heavy casualties. To make up for our near-eternal lifespan, we demons reproduce very slowly. Due to the war, the species itself is at the brink of extinction. After the hostilities, the families of noble and pure-blooded demons, known as the 72 Keys, mostly died out. My family, the Gremory House, Sona's family, the Citri House, and Riser Phoenix are all that remains of the 72 Keys. This is why we demons use resurrected humans as our servants. Subsequently, the raiding game was created. It allows our servants to gain real battle experience and give us masters a chance to demonstrate our abilities. Currently, one's performance in these games has a huge influence on rank and position. We should take a break now. I guess all of you are tired, Ria says. I'll go make some tea. Akino says, staffing out of her seat as well as Asia. I'll help you. Asia says following, but Issei stops her. Asia, sorry about last night. Issei says, making her blush, and Deku raises an eyebrow. Oh no. You were really amazing back th dash. Asia says, but Issei makes a sh sound. Let's keep it our secret for now. It's still not done and far from usable. Issei says, smiling with a light blush. I'll help you until your ultimate move is complete. Asia says, ultimate move? Kiba says with a raised eyebrow. It's a secret. Asia says, knowing Issei, it's gonna be very perverted. Deku whiskers in Kiba's war and he nods agreeing. Oh yeah, Asia. Because you were a nun. Please tell us what you know, Ria says smiling. Time skip. Well, there are two key tools that the exorcists possess. Asia says, standing next to holy water and the Bible. She picks up holy water. The first one is holy water. Demons like you should not touch it, Asia says. Issei raises his hand. What happens if we do? I says, and Deku takes out a bottle of holy water and pours some in the cap and pours it on Issei's hand, making him scream, and holds it while it steams. It hurts like a bitch, Deku says, and hands Issei some cloth to wrap his hand in. I did that because Issei asked a stupid question, Deku says, and looks at Issei. Want me to pour some more on your hand? Deku says, scaring Issei. No, no. Issei says, scared, and his hand still hurts. Continue, Deku said, and Asia picks up the Bible. The Bible. I've been reading it since childhood. But now, even reading a single line gives me a splitting headache. I'm at wit's end. Asia says, hugging the Bible. You're a demon. After all. Ria says, smiling with her eyes closed. It's expected of a demon. Kiba says with his eyes closed too. A demon, Kaneko says, agreeing with them. It damaged demons a lot. Akino says, smiling happily. And that's why demons don't read the Bible, Deku says. But this passage is absolutely enlightening. Ah, it hurts. Asia says, him ding her head in cane trying to read it. Oh Lord, please forgive me for no longer being able to read the Bible. Ah, I can't take it. Asia says, and tires multiple times to read it but fails. I think I should have explained this because holy water and the Bible didn't hurt me. Deku says, sweat dropping. Time skip next day. Deku is currently walking towards everyone's and hears an explosion and streets running. He's greeted seeing the top of the mountain destroyed. Damn it. I miss all the good parts. Deku yells sadly. The blast he uses was stronger than yours. Rias says, making his eyes widen. What? Just a couple of days and his dragon shut is already stronger than mine. Deku thinks and makes a fist. So, the Red Dragon Emperor is stronger than the 5 Dragon Kings. Deku thinks. Time skip a few days later at the club room. Deku is watching everyone get ready. The door opens, drawing their attention. Excuse us, Sona says with her vice president behind her. Good evening, Sona. Welcome. Rias says, smiling to the two, the student council president and vice president. Why? Issei says, and Rias speaks. Rating games are broadcast to members of both families. They are responsible for it, Rias says, and Issei understands. I see, Issei says. I volunteered for the task. It's your first game after all, Sona says. I'll show you a fight that won't insult out rivalry. Rias says, and a magic circle appears. Graphia appears from it. Everyone, are you prepared? Graphia says, yes, anytime. Rias says, ready. When it's about to start, you will be teleported to the battlefield. Graphia said. Battlefield? Deku says, not hearing about this. An alternate space created just for this game. It's disposed of after each game, so you can run wild all you want. Akino says, smiling, which Deku signs at her behavior. I will be going back to the student council room to manage the broadcast. I wish you the best of luck. Rias, Sona says, and they walk away. Thank you, but make the broadcast fair. Okay? Rias says, and both turn to her. Of course. I do not expect an even match against him, however. Sona says, leaving, and Rias smiles at that last sentence. By the war, the demon lord Lucifer will be watching this fight as well. Graphia says, and Deku blinks, surprised hearing Rias's older brother watching. I see. My brother is also. Rias says, and Issei cuts her off. Did you just say brother? Did I hear it wrong? Issei said, not quite sure if he heard right. No, her brother is the demon lord, Kiba says, shocking Issei and Asia. The demon lord. Your brother is the demon lord. Issei says, shocked. Yes, Rias says, bit really caring. Surzek's Lucifer, known as the Crimson Satan. That's her brother. Surzek-sama succeeded the previous demon lord Lucifer-sama that passed away in the war. Kiba says. So that's why the president became the heiress of the Gremory family. Asia says. So that's what it was, Issei says, finally understanding. A red circle appears. It's about time, Graphia says, and they all stand up except Deku. Let's go. Ria says, and they all steve on the red circle. Be careful, everyone. Especially you, Akino. Naruti says worriedly, and she smiles. I'll be fine, Akino says, and they all disappear. Deku closes his eyes, trying to catch sleep. Dream. Deku is standing on a battlefield, and he feels an powerful force, and he turns and his eyes widen, seeing a man with 9 tails and fox features holding a blue flute. Looks like the Legend of Zelda flute from Ocarina of Time. Attack! Someone yells and Deku turns, seeing an army of Angles charging. I will end this war myself. The man says. Abs plays the flute. It's Lugia's theme from Pokemon Movie 2000. Look it up on YouTube. The man is enveloped by crimson energy that hits the sky, creating earthquakes, tornadoes. When it finally stops, a giant monster takes his place with one red eye. With one blast, it destroys half of the army. Deku watches in shock and horror how they're all eliminated. Dream end. Deku wakes up and grabs his chest, breathing hard, seeing an image of the past. What the hell was that? Killed then like they were nothing? Deku says, shocked. Time skip. Deku is currently waiting outside Issei's room, waiting for Issei to get over his shock that he lost. It's all my fault, even after I made those promises. I just collapsed so pathetically in front of her. The others? Issei says, crying in front of Graphia. Asia, by order of Ria-sama, stated here to take care of you. The others are with Ria-sama at the underworld, Graphia says. With her? Issei says with tears in his eyes. For the wedding party. The one for Riser-sama and Ria-sama. Graphia says, shocking Issei more. Prez. I'm sorry, Prez dash. Issei says, but then someone cuts him off. Seriously? You giving up just like that? Deku said, gaining his attention, and is met by a fist to the stomach, making him spit out blood. Issei falls to his knees, holding his stomach. You idiot, you're so pathetic right now that I would want to best you up. Look at yourself in the mirror. Didn't you want to be the one to be with RIAS? Deku yells, enraged, shocking him. You are truly an interesting person. Graphia says, smiling at Issei, surprising him. Huh? Issei says, not understanding. Over the years, I've met many devils, but you're the first one to honestly portray your feelings. Surzek-sama also thought you were interesting. Graphia says, handing him a paper with a magic circle on it. A magic circle? Deku says, surprised. With this, you can get to the engagement party, but only outside the castle. The rest is up to you to get inside, Graphia says. Are you saying? Issei says and wipes away the tears. If you want my sister back, barge into the hall. This are Surzek-sama's words, Graphia says. Issei flips the back, seeing another design. The one in the back. Please use it when you rage back, my lady. It will define you, be useful to you. Graphia says, disappearing by her magic circle. Get ready, we're leaving in 10 minutes. Deku says at the doorway. But how will we dash? Issei says, and Deku cuts him off. I got the whole thing covered. Get ready. We're crashing a wedding. Deku says, smiling. That's it for today, thanks for watching.